Two events remain in the professional series, as the GT World Championship will not be coming until much later on. We are now going to get on with the Supercar. We are now going to get on with our penultimate event of the professional series, and that is the Supercar Festival. So, I switched over to the Skyline in my last episode because I wanted to try and see if this car was eligible to enter the Supercar Festival. And as you are about to find out, well, unfortunately the game has not let that be the case. I also thought about using the Cadillac CN for this, but as you're about to find out, sadly that too falls under the category of modified cars. So if I switch over to the Cadillac now, you are about to find out that this car is technically a modified car because, well, for some unknown reason, it has a racing transmission fitted to it. So, I did feel a bit bummed out because I couldn't use the Gran Turismo licensed Skyline for this, and I feel like that would have been the perfect car to use. And well, the Cadillac cannot be used either because, well, for some unknown reason that's also accounted for as a modified car. But there is one car I can use for this. And that one car, from what I can tell at least, among the cars I haven't used, is this. The Roof CTR Yellowbird, since I have a feeling this will probably be my best choice heading into this. So this is probably the best choice I have, since all the other choices I have will require money for me to spend on them. And well, let's see how we go. So we're now using the Roof CTR Yellowbird for Race 1 of the Supercar Festival, and we need to put some modifications on this thing because it needs to be at least 493 in horsepower or more. So, yeah. Basically, we are using the Roof for this one. So, we're going to get the obvious one out of the way, and that's put on a turbo kit, since that will put us up to the minimum power requirement, and also going to put on the racing intercooler as well, because I think that will also be important. We don't really need to change the tyres, because, well, the tyres are already sport soft, because, well, technically this car is eligible to be entered in the friggin' Supercar Festival. And also going to put on racing brakes, because I figured these will help me out to get through the corners. And I better put on a racing chip as well. Oh, we cannot do that. Oh well. Let's just get on with some other upgrades whilst we're here. So going to switch from sports suspension to semi-racing suspension. And now, can I put on the... Okay, so it looks like we can only do racing parts here. And nope, the carbon drive shaft, unfortunately, cannot be used. Oh well, we'll just put on the other racing part instead. I don't think we need a racing transmission for this. I think we should be okay in that department. And well, since we already have a racing exhaust fitted, we can actually enter this thing, because for some unknown reason, it's apparently unmodified. And well, you know what? I'm just gonna roll with it. Even though this technically is a tuning car, but, well, it's also a road car, so, yeah, we'll just have to use it. Alright, here we go. So, unmodified cars only, and we need at least 493 horsepower or over in order to enter, and we also need the International A license in order to enter the event as well. So we've got 8 laps of Seoul Central, 6 laps of Fuji Speedway 90s, 6 laps of New York, 6 laps Midfield Raceway, and 6 laps of Sonoma. So this is going to be very interesting, depending on our competition, but either way, let's go. And so we begin the Supercar Festival with a Honda HSC, a Spiker C8, a Cadillac CN, which for some reason the AI can use, a Tommy Kyra ZZ2, and a Shizata V16. Let's go. Yeah, there's a strange glitch as to why the Cadillac CN can be used by the AI, but for some reason not be used by the player. I mean, I get the understanding of eligibility and obviously, you know, all that typical entry requirement shit, but it's just kind of weird to me. Anyway, 8 laps of Seoul Central, let's see how we go. And 46 points if we win, so I don't think this is going to be too hard for us to pull off, but we have got some long races ahead of us. Certainly the longest we've done in this game so far, in terms of race events that we've entered. So it's going to be interesting to see how we stack up compared to everyone else. Of course, I did do a few other part adjustments just in case, and already the rear end snapped on me and sent me straight into the wall. Anyway, I cleared the Shizata with no real dramas. 1.7 seconds is the gap to the Honda HSC. My car, for some reason, in spite of the racing brakes, did not want to get on the brakes immediately, but either way. This is gonna be a wild one, is what me thinks. But either way, I do manage to make my way up to second, and just like that, I am now up to the lead, and where it's probably going to be me and the Cadillac basically duking it out. So this is where the race really gets started. And on the brakes early, because I don't want to basically get loose and then slap the wall again like I did before. And looks as though this is going to be a battle between me and the Cadillac. Or so it would appear. And keeping in third gear, so I maintain control of my car. Getting a little bump from behind there by the Cadillac. I think it's pretty obvious to say that this race is going to be a wild one. Obviously, in my case, it'll be wild but fun, because that's what a lot of these professional event racers have been up to this point, as we are very much going door to door in the streets of South Korea, and on the brakes early because, well, obviously 80s car versus 2000s car. Typically it's the 2000s car that will have the stronger brakes than the 80s car, which is basically what I have here. And a little bump there behind the Cadillac. It's fair to say we're definitely playing for keeps here. And it's definitely going to take a gutsy call for me to pass the Cadillac on merit. We're definitely going door to door with one another. That's one thing I know for sure at this point. And the Cadillac is a little bit faster than me in a straight line because he has the racing transmission, but either way, we're still duking it out, and I think it's fair to say, aside from this being a wild race, it's also proving to be a pretty fun one as well. Because neither one of us are letting the other one get away from the other. So this is definitely another one of what I would call those Pro Series. Of what I would call another one of those Pro Series thrillers that we've had so many of up to this point. That you could practically say it's worthy of a photo album because of just how many close and wild finishes we've had up to this point. Oh shit, okay. I did not think I was going to get the dive bomb there, but I somehow did. I really thought for sure I was going to go back into the wall there, but it's fair to say that we're definitely chasing each other down in this race. As in, neither one of us is letting the other one get away. I think it's fair to say this race so far has definitely been another one for the photo album. Because of just how good this race has been up to this point. With neither one of us letting the other one get away. We are very much locking horns in this race. And so we are 5 laps down, and we still have another... Oh crap, okay. We got it back again. Good thing I fitted the semi-racing suspension. I think I might just have a little bit of a gap now over the Cadillac. Still, this has been a good race. I can definitely say there's been enough footage in the first 5 laps or so to say that this race has been pretty exciting. And it is fair to say that we've definitely been door to door with one another for pretty much the entire distance up to this point. As in a situation where neither one of us can seem to break away from the other. And that's partly the reason why it's just been so compelling up to this point. But either way, we seem to be doing alright for ourselves. And it looks like this is going to be a pretty easy win now from what I can see. I think I'm now just starting to break away from the Cadillac a little bit. But still, those first 5 laps, they were definitely moments worthy of the photo album that we've just managed to build up. The Cadillac is still keeping on tabs with me, but he's not quite as close as he was. And I think it's fair to say that I've more or less got this one in the books now, as I'm nearly 2 seconds clear, so... Still, I gotta say, the first 5 laps of this race, they were wild. They were wild and fun. But the last 3 laps, well, it's been pretty cut and dry, as I am now 2.4 seconds clear of the Cadillac. So I think what that means is we've pretty much got this one in the bag. As long as we don't spin or crash, we should have this one in the bag pretty easily, since I do have a 2-second gap up front. Still, it was a good race nonetheless, and I definitely had fun battling with the Cadillac the way I did. But altogether, still an easy win once we got to the second half of this race, and 2.7 seconds clear of the Cadillac. Meanwhile, the Tommy Kyra was 6 seconds back, and nobody else reaches the finish. In my 550 brake horsepowered Reef CTR Yellowbird, I have won race 1, and scored another 15 grand. That was a lot of fun. Now let's head on to race 2. As we are now at Fuji Speedway 90s for 6 laps. So this time, we've got a Pagani Zonda C12S, the Spiker C8, the Callaway C12, the Protomotors Spira, and the Celine S7 in this field. I don't think we need to do any tuning. I think we should be fine. And 9 points this time, so I think that tells me this is going to be easy. As in, I'm pretty sure this will no doubt be a cakewalk, if it's only 9 points. And I think the only real competition I'll get from this race is probably 1, maybe 2 laps from the Pagani Zonda, but I don't think that's really going to be too much of a concern for me here. Oh, I went a little too deep there, but that's okay, because I was able to keep myself under control. And a little snap of oversteer there, but able to just ease off the throttle and let the car come back to me, as I do. So 1.6 seconds is the gap to the Pagani Zonda. I don't think it's going to take me too long to pass him. And a little too late there on the brakes, but able to still catch it through the chicane. And I hit the back of the Zonda. But I'm pretty confident in saying I can pull this off. So I'm just here to, well, bide my time. I know the AI don't tend to be very strong around Fuji a lot of the time, so I'm convinced in saying this is going to be pretty easy by the time I've cleared the Pagani. And I was way too late on the brakes. Way too late. But that's okay, because even though my rear tyres are getting shredded right now, I can at least say my front tyres have the grip. And this car is currently oversteery as fuck. I probably didn't have to cough into the microphone there, but anyway. Trying to clear my throat as I now close back in on the Pagani from my turn 1 blunder. But I think I should be okay. Damn it. Okay. Oh, fuck me. That was an incredible save. I did not think I was going to save the car after that. I was honestly thinking for sure that was not going to be the case, but it somehow was. Well, I have to admit, the Pagani has definitely given me a fight up to this point. Definitely another one of those cases where the race itself is probably harder than what it makes out to be. And this time, I'm going to step on the brakes earlier, so I do make the corner this time. And the field is pretty much strung out after 2 laps. So, I think it's fair to say we're pretty well spread out. As I am now ahead of the C12S by 1.7 seconds. And that's not about to change. So, now got a 2-second gap to the Pagani at this point, so I think we should be okay. And very much going slideways on the entry there to the chicane. But I'd say we're doing okay. As we're now 3.4 seconds clear of the Pagani at this point. Doesn't look like anyone else is going to make it to the finish. And this is pretty much going to be where it's my race to lose, from what I can see. And now I've gone too deep again. Although, not quite as deep as I was before. But anyway. I'm really gonna have to make sure I clear my throat by the time we get to the end of this race. So, 5.8 seconds is now the gap to the Zonda after 3 laps and 1 sector. And so we begin to separate ourselves from the Pagani even further, as the gap is now 5.4 seconds. Step on the brakes a little bit there, so I have a bit more control on the entry to the chicane. We're definitely sliding around a lot, but still able to at least keep the car under control as we now head through the final turn for the 4th time. And it very much looks like this is going to be domination for the rest of this. I have noticed my tyres are getting a little bit worn at this stage, but I think we should be okay from what I can see. I did of course put on the semi-racing suspension just in case, so I think that's probably helping me at the moment. And right now, we're doing pretty good, as I'm now 8.5 seconds clear of the Pagani Zonda. So, I think it's pretty clear to say which car at this time is the fastest, as I am proving so vehemently at this stage. Oh, fuck me. Yep. I knew that was gonna happen sooner or later. I just knew there wasn't going to be enough grip for me to actually make it through the chicane that sideways. It very much feels like before going into the chicane, I'm actually drifting my way through the corner. Anyways, 1 lap to go here at Fuji, and it looks like this is going to be a pretty easy win for me at this stage. It looks as though it's only going to be me and the Pagani Zonda who wind up finishing this race as well. Everyone else is very strung out. So 7.8 seconds is now the gap, and it looks as though we are at this stage unlikely to lose this race, as long as we stay up front. So 7.8 seconds is now the gap. That was so much better through that corner. And hitting one of the cones as I get through the exit. That is technically a 2-part chicane there, but we are of course able to make sure that we get through smoothly. And so, looks like it's going to be a 10-second win for me. And across the line, I set a new best lap by 1.5 seconds. So once I took over the lead, it was pretty much domination the rest of the way. 10 seconds, as I guessed, over the Zonda. And the Celine finished in 3rd. Literally nobody else was even close to us. But anyway, there we go. That's now 2 races down. And next up we have New York. Let's go. And where this time we have got the Audi, where in this field we once again have the Shizeta back for another race. We also have the Tommy Kyra back for his second race as well, along with the Celine, and also the Spyra is back as well. And they're headed off by the Audi Nuvolari Quattro. Let's go for 6 laps around New York, and where the points we will score this time is 26. Should also mention this is the first time we're racing around the normal New York course. Just having a sip of water. And now, here we go. I think because the Cadillac isn't in this field, that's probably the main reason why the other 2 races up to this point have actually been pretty easy for me. Because the Cadillac has not been present. But anyway, here we are again on the streets of Manhattan. As we now clear the Shizeta. And oh fuck me, okay. Again, another remarkable save I did not think I was going to pull off. But there we go. Now, approaching the back of the Audi Nuvolari Quattro. Figured I'd give him the room to save it because I didn't want to bump him twice. And I'm now immediately up into 3rd position. With just the Celine and the Tommy Kyra ahead of me. And the Tommy Kyra looks like is going to be my biggest challenger here in NYC. Which can be said either way, because personally I would say New York Circuit, but a lot of you would obviously say New York City. Whichever way you prefer it to be said, I honestly don't care either way. But on the brakes early, and once again having to use the wall to limit the damage under braking, because I would have hit the outside wall otherwise. And racing the Tommy Kyra ZZ2, and it looks as though we're going to be locking horns for most of this, and a little bit of contact there as we went through that right-hander, but that's kind of what I was anticipating. But anyway. We are now very much in the lead. Not quite the way I was wanting to get through to passing the Tommy Kyra under brakes, but either way, I'm still in the lead. My brakes weren't exactly holding up, and it was basically because of that I wasn't really going to get enough of a shot to actually, well, save the car under braking. Plus the Tommy Kyra was alongside me anyway, so I don't think I have too much to be, I don't really think there's anyone to blame for that little skirmish. It's just another one of those racing deals that tend to occur more frequently with more powerful cars. And on the brakes nice and early, because I don't want to slide again under braking. And back up Times Square we go. And I have pretty much cleared myself from the Tommy Kyra. I got it just about right with my braking speed. I really thought for sure that was going to be pandemonium, but thankfully it wasn't. So, we are coming towards the end of lap 3, here on the streets of Manhattan. And heading up past the New York City Hall, I think that is. I'm also pretty sure the Plaza Hotel is somewhere in that area. Now heading into Columbus Circle for the third time. The Tommy Kyra is closing in on me again, but unless I make any major mistakes, I think we should be fine. We're pretty much spread out here. I wouldn't say there's really going to be too much of a challenge from the ensuing pack behind me. I have a 4-second gap up front. I'm also pretty confident in saying that I can go a little deeper than 170, but I just figured it was necessary for me to test the brakes and to make sure this car did not go head-on into the wall. Again, because I have a gap out front, I can more or less afford to do these things. So, here we go. A little bit wide there, but still able to hold on to my car either way. Doesn't look like the Tommy Kyra is really going to do that much about me at this stage. I do seem, of course, to have the clear road ahead of me. He's pretty much dropping away. Oh, on second thoughts, he's actually catching up to me, so I think it's obvious to say he's definitely in recovery mode. And I think it's fair to say he's probably out for revenge in terms of what happened in that right-hander on lap 2. He does seem to be closing the gap. We might actually have to start pushing it now. just in case. So a little deeper on the brakes than what we have been doing, and well, he is closing in, but I don't think he's going to catch me. As long as I keep everything under control, I think we should be okay with this. Of course, I know the brakes of an 80s supercar typically tend to be weaker than those of a, I think a 2000s supercar brakes, but I'm still holding on to the lead and I now have an itch on my nose. That's kind of annoying me right now, but again, just have to focus on the race at hand. So, been a pretty good race up to this point, even though I have pretty much dominated this one from start to finish, more or less. And the gap has now increased to 6.5 seconds. So, I think that pretty much tells you everything we need to know about where we stand currently. I forgot to downshift coming out of Columbus Circle. But whatever, it's fine. One lap to go here in New York, as the gap is now 6.2 seconds. And I think at this point we should more or less have this one in the bag by now. Well, he is closing in again, but I don't think he's going to catch me. This is pretty much my race to lose now, as we head through those 90-degree corners. And now we've got one more to take care of. And as ever, we of course have these. And on the back stretch now, heading towards Columbus Circle for the 6th and last time in race 3 of the Supercar Festival. And I think it's fair to say I'm not losing this race anymore, unless something happens right at the end, but it's not going to. So off Columbus Circle and down into Times Square we go, and going to set a new best lap in the process, a 1 minute 40.4, and 23 points on the board, as it took me 10 minutes and virtually 18 seconds to finish that race. And both the Tommy Kyra and Celine must have had quite a battle. So 15 grand for winning, and I think it's fair to say we're definitely out of the poverty ranks by now. So, an 11.78... Wait, is that right? No. An 11 point... Wait, let me think. Anyway. 11.7 seconds, I think it is, over the Tommy Kyra, and the Selena 7 finished in P3. And yeah, I'll save the replay. Why not? First time I've actually driven on the forward New York course in this game. I might as well save the replay because I can. As this is now episode 46. I know the files are saved, they're just down underneath the date does not make any sense, but I know the replays are saved because they're saved all the way down here for some reason. I'll get something sorted out. Anyway, let's now move on to race 4 at Midfield Raceway, as there's the rest of the order who did not finish. Okay, on now to midfield. And the Cadillac returns for round 2. And aside from the Cadillac, we also have the Tommy Cairo back again, so this will probably be another 40 plus point race. Also got the Cadillac CN, the Callaway C12, and the Selena 7. Okay, let's just get on with this. And this time, it's only 33 points. But since the Cadillac is in the field, it's pretty clear to me that this race is going to be more competitive. So here we go now for attempt 3 here at Midfield Raceway, as once again the car decided it did not want me to drive it, and basically what happened was, well, initially everything was going okay, but then basically the rear end of this car just snapped on me, heading basically through the kink before that first tunnel. And then basically what happened was I slapped the wall, and then I basically went into the wall nose first. And I think it's pretty clear to me that this race is definitely harder than the ones I've done before. And partly the reason for that is because, well, midfield, I kind of had a feeling was going to be a bit of a wild card in terms of my odds of actually beating it. But after 2 pretty sloven attempts to begin with, I think this time around we might actually have a shot at this, since I've actually got the power down early and I feel like I have more of a shot now. I was attempting to go for the lead there, but obviously, well, the car was still going to send me into the wall either way. Again, as I said before, this car is very much an 80s supercar from what I can see, so the handling physics are definitely different compared to that of the Tommy Cairo. But I did have a shot early on. I still think I can win this race, even though I have very much fumbled this now, I think 3 times already, so this is probably attempt 4. But I have established winning is possible. I just need to get the— oh god damn it. Oh fucking hell. Why is this car so loose? Why can I not just get this fucking car to grip? Why can I not just get this car to grip on the bumps? Okay, that was probably a little too aggressive there. But I still think I can win. I am not giving up, damn it. I'm about as stubborn as they come. I am not giving up on this race. I will do whatever it takes to win if I have to. regardless of how many times this fucking bumpy track surface throws me off. Because I have established the track surface is pretty bumpy. I will not give up. I will fight this right to the leash if I have to. Even if that means I have to bump my opponent up front from losing control. I will not lose this fucking race. I will fucking win this if I have to. I have not given up hope. I have to stay in it. To believe I can get it done. Okay, I think I'm closing in on the Tommy Kyra again now, so I think we do have a chance. Okay, so 1.3 seconds is now the gap. Yeah, I might have to bump him if I'm gonna get past him. But I haven't given up yet. I still believe I can get this one done. Even then if I have failed this 3 previous times, but I'm not giving up on this one. If I can just stay on track long enough, I should have a chance. There's definitely a shot. I'm not out of this race just yet. Although I'll certainly be relieved by the time this one is done. Because my god, is this track surface bumpy. With just how many areas can just send you off course. I did not think I was going to get lucky with that one. Apparently the Tommy Kyra had a double whammy. Heading through that right-handed kink. Still, I'm so glad to say I did not have a double whammy myself. Heading through that kink to open up the reverse lap. I really thought for sure that was going to happen to me too, but fortunately the bump in the middle of the road actually played to my advantage. And I can definitely say there's at least enough drop-off areas in the track surface to suggest that there definitely is bumps in the middle of the road somewhere. This is definitely what I can refer to as being a bumpy track surface. But against all the odds, I found myself in the lead and now I have to somehow hold on to the lead. So on the brakes early, shifting down to third, so I am pretty much guaranteed to make the corner. And the Tommy Kyra gets into the wall again. So that shows I have the advantage on corner exit. And through the dogleg, and now up to this long sweeping right-hander. I should also mention it's a banked right-hander as well, because we're up on a hill. And now through the overhead tunnel and through this sweeping right-hander, and now on the back stretch right before we get on to the front stretch, and through the chicane, downshifting for that as well, so I get through without too many dramas. And now just got these 2 left-handers to go. I'm staying in control as much as I can. The Tommy Kyra is closing in, but he's not going to catch me. I don't think he has enough speed. It's going to be close, but he's not going to get me. There we go. We have beaten Midfield Raceway without making any changes on the car whatsoever. We actually won in what was essentially a wild and wacky race. After failing 3 times to keep my car under wraps, On the 4th time, I actually get it done. As we're now up to over 300 grand now. My god, was that race crazy. But I somehow pulled it off. Now, let's move on to Sonoma. Alrighty then. One race to go in the Supercar Festival, and after pretty much getting through what was definitely a chaotic race at Midfield Raceway, we now just have Infineon Raceway for the 5th and final race, and where I'm pretty convinced in saying the track surface here will be smoother. So 34 points this time. Obviously the Cadillac is of course in this race. We also have a Mercedes SLR McLaren in this race as well, along with the Chiazzetta, the Audi Nuvolari Quattro, and of course, well, the Proto Spira. I hope I said that right. I think it's pronounced Spira. Or Spira. Whichever one works. I'm now trying to clear the SLR McLaren. And can I do so? Yes, I can. Now I just have to clear the Cadillac up front. I'm convinced in saying that because we're in wine country, the road surface will be smoother, or the track surface I should say will be smoother than midfield. And I pull off a double pass at the carousel, and on the exit of the carousel I now clear the Proto Spira. And the Cadillac now moves up into second. So I think it's pretty clear over who precisely our main competitor is going to be in this one. Spent a little bit too much time there in the sand, but able at least to get my car out of it as we head through the hairpin. And a little bit wide on the exit, but still able to at least keep the momentum. And over the line, completing the first lap, and 1.3 seconds is the gap. So this one looks like it's going to be another close one between me and the Cadillac. After struggling on 3 occasions to win at midfield, I eventually managed to win midfield, and now that I have done that, all we have to do is get through this race here at Sonoma in California, and then, well, we should pretty much be good to go for our next few events. And I have thought about this over what order it is I'm going to do my next few events. And almost sliding into the cones there, but able at least to keep everything under wraps as it is. Got a 3.5 second gap now over the Cadillac CN. Ironically, the same car that I drove to win the Imperial Palace tournament in... ironically, the same car I drove to win the Imperial Palace tournament in Midnight Club 3, and up to this point, I'd say we're pretty Gucci. As we now head under the Autolite Bridge, or the Fram Bridge, I should say, because it's Autolite Fram, and just taking my time through those corners. The Cadillac is keeping pretty close to me, but I think we should be okay, from what I can see. And so far, so good. And a little bit of a hop there on the curbs, but able to still keep everything under control as it is. And now heading through the S's. 3.3 seconds is the gap to the Cadillac, as we're now heading towards the end of the third lap. And it looks like this one is going to be more or less like most of the others, where I basically managed to break away from my opponents early, and I also managed to then work my way out front whilst maintaining a steady gap, which is basically what I am doing here. So, heading through these sweeping right-handers, and now up to the carousel, as I have a 3.3 second advantage over the Cadillac CN. He is closing in slightly, but he's not closing in by enough to give me any serious challenges. Of course, he is not quite as close as he was in Seoul at the start of this. Of course, I eventually won the battle in Seoul Central because, well, I just quite simply outpaced him. So 3.7 seconds is now the gap. I am glad to say this time we're on a much smoother track surface here at Sonoma Raceway, as we now head into the hairpin, now for the fourth time, keeping everything under wraps as we should. The Cadillac is closing in slightly, but I don't think is really going to mount any serious challenges here, as I step on the brakes just so I can get through the corner. 3.1 seconds is now the gap, and I think it's fair to say that we're doing pretty well. So, through the right-hander now, 3.7 seconds is the gap. The Cadillac is keeping close to me, but he's not really mounting any challenges. He is keeping on tabs with me in terms of pace, but he's not really catching up to me to mount any real challenges. And it's pretty obvious to me that this is more or less my race to lose now. So heading through the second hairpin and now into the S's. Went a little bit deep on the curbs there, but able to keep most of it under control until I got to that little sweeper there, but that's okay, because I am very much leading here at Sonoma with a pretty steady gap. So through to the start finish line we go, as I set a new best lap time. Probably didn't have to brake there, but I did anyway, and up to this point I think we're going good. So, heading now into this right-hander at just over 100 miles an hour, and Gap is now just under 3 seconds as we head through to the carousel. He is catching me little by little, but he's not going to get to me before the end. We should be okay for the rest of this, as long as we don't spin. And through this hairpin we go, which is mainly 2 right-handers, and now into the S's for the final time at Sonoma, and also for the last time in the Supercar Festival. The Cadillac has kept a pretty steady gap over me, and a little bit loose there, but able to catch it as I went through the sand. So I think we should be okay in that department. And now we just have 1 corner left to negotiate. And there we go. 4 out of 5 races sweeped. Because we had to deal with the bumpy road surface of midfield. And there's your finishing order. No one else is going to get to the line before the fade. And I finished this after recording for almost an hour and 15 minutes. So 15 grand once again, as we have now moved up by 75 grand. So 4 out of 5 races sweeped for the Roof CTR Yellowbird. The Cadillac CN finished in 2nd, followed by the Merc SLR McLaren in 4th. The New Volare Quattro was 4th, followed by the Spyra in 5th, and it was the Shizeta V16T that came home last. Already have a replay saved. Let's now move on to the car that we win. So for winning the Supercar Festival, we get the Shizeta V16T. I'm honestly not surprised. But there we go, we get the Supercar with a V16 motor. Not bad. I can definitely say this car has one big ass motor, because it's a 16-cylinder engine. But anyway, there we go. Supercar Festival is done. Had to deal with a bit of trouble at Midfield Raceway, but that's okay, because nonetheless, we still won. Also surprised to say that we never saw the Ford GT in this event, which is surprising. But anyway, there we go. And as a result of us completing all the professional events, we now have granted permission to enter the GT World Championship. Obviously, we're not going to do that yet, but I just figured I would point that out, because why not? And there we go. So that was the Supercar Festival, and it took me virtually an hour and 14 minutes to get it done, as we've now gained another 0.9%. 23.9% complete, and it's only taken me 46 episodes to get to this point, as I've now switched cars 27 times, and 2 of these, well, I'm still yet to use them, but hopefully I'll find something to do for both of them. So let's find our Shizeta. Here it is. The Shizeta V16T from 1994, and we can sell this thing for 135 grand in Alpine White. I may have something lined up for this thing, if I feel like using it, but right now, I'm just here to savour the moment. So there we go. And now, as we check our stats, we've now driven almost 630 miles, and our win ratio is now down to 87.3% as a result of our troubles that occurred at Midfield Raceway. And we've also scored nearly 11,000 A-spec points. Not bad. Alright. So that's now most of the events done in the professional events, and I think next time we're going to move on to the regional events, for which we have 3 of these to do. We've got the American events, the European events, and of course the Japanese events. But I think to open this up, we're going to do the American events first. And we are going to start off by going through the muscle car competition. So, next time on Gran Turismo 4, American races, muscle car competition.